My child, if these words have reached you tonight, then linger here with me for just a little while. I know you almost moved on. I know your thumb was already drifting toward the next thing, and yet somehow here you still are, still listening. Perhaps that is not random at all. You don't have to feel worthy to be here. You don't have to like who you are, or believe anything good about yourself, or carry a heart that feels even one thing right now. You only have to stay and let these words be spoken over you. So loosen your shoulders and breathe out slowly, and let the heaviness ease for these few quiet minutes. Before we go one step further, let me say something plainly, because honesty matters more than comfort. What you are about to receive is an encouragement drawn from the Bible, a reflection offered to you in faith. It is not a private revelation. It is not a prediction about your future, and it is not a promise of any particular outcome in your life. It is simply the timeless comfort of Scripture, read gently over you tonight. And there is one truth I want to lay underneath everything I say to you. It comes from the book of Psalms, the 139th Psalm, verse 14. Receive these words slowly. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Read that again, down in the quiet of your heart. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Not carelessly, not by accident, not as some unwanted afterthought. Wonderfully made and marvelous in the eyes of the one who formed you. This is not flattery. It is not a kind lie told to make you feel better for an evening. In the Scriptures, this is the testimony of the one who knit you together, spoken over the work of his own hands. And tonight, that ancient truth is being spoken over you. So let these words come to you the way the Bible offers them, as if the Father himself were leaning close to your heart and saying, My child, you were not a mistake. You were not the leftover piece, the one that should not have been here. You were not an accident the world had to make room for. The Scriptures say it like this, again in that same 139th Psalm. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. You were made on purpose, with care, with intention, before the world ever spoke a single word over you. I had already chosen the shape of your hands, before anyone ever made you feel like too much or far too little. I had already called you wonderful. You did not invent yourself, and you did not arrive by chance. You were formed, and the one who formed you does not make junk. I know what they told you. I know the words that lodged themselves deep. Someone made you believe you were a burden, a problem to be managed, a weight that other people had to carry. Somewhere along the way, you started to think the world would breathe easier if you had simply never been here at all. But hear me now, gently, and let this sink past the noise. That is not the truth about you. The voice that calls you worthless is not the voice of the one who made you. It never was. What others failed to see in you does not erase what heaven wrote into you. Their blindness is not your verdict. You are not a mistake to be hidden. You are not a flaw to be apologized for. You are not too broken to be wanted, and you are not too ordinary to matter. You have lived with a voice, haven't you? A quiet, steady voice that has trailed behind you for years. It speaks in your own tone, in your own accent, so you assumed it was simply you telling yourself the truth. It tells you that you are nothing special. It tells you that nobody would really notice if you faded out of the room. It reminds you of every place you fell short, every way you have failed to be what others wanted. And late at night, it whispers the cruelest thing of all, that you were a mistake from the very beginning. My child, hear me. That voice is a liar. It does not speak for heaven, and it does not speak for the one who knit you together. So when that old voice starts its familiar speech, answer it with what is true. When it says you are worthless, the truth says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. When it says you were an accident, the truth says you were formed on purpose. When it says no one would miss you, the truth says you were known and wanted before you ever drew a breath. You don't have to argue it into silence. You only have to stop agreeing with the lie. So if you are listening tonight, ashamed of who you are, this is for you. If you have spent years wishing you were someone else, anyone else, this is for you. If you have looked in the mirror and felt nothing but disappointment looking back, this is for you. If you have quietly decided that you simply do not matter, that the world has already made up its mind about you, this especially is for you. You don't have to fix yourself first. You don't have to become impressive. You don't have to earn the right to be valued. Come as you are. And about that worth you keep trying to prove, let me tell you where it truly comes from. You have been taught that your value is something you must earn, that you are worth as much as you achieve, as much as you produce, as much as you are useful to someone. But that is not how heaven measures you. Your worth was never tied to your performance. It was woven into you the moment you were made. You did not have to become wonderful. You were made wonderful. When you succeed, you are precious. When you fail, you are precious. On your best day, you carry the fingerprints of the one who made you, and on your worst day, you carry them still. And there is something written in the scriptures that I do not want you to miss, because it answers the very ache inside you. It comes from the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10. Listen carefully. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Sit with that word for a moment. Workmanship. You are not a random thing the world happened to produce. You are workmanship, the careful labor of skilled and loving hands. An artist does not despise the work he has poured himself into. He does not call it a mistake. And the scriptures say you were created with purpose, that there is a path of good works prepared ahead of you, meant for you to walk. You were not made and then forgotten. You were made for a reason. So when shame tells you that you are pointless, that your life adds up to nothing, let this verse correct it tonight. You are his workmanship. You were made on purpose, and you were made with purpose. And I want to speak to the shame you have carried so long that it began to feel like a part of you. The shame that makes you shrink in a room, the shame that keeps you apologizing for taking up space, the shame that whispers you must hide the real you, or no one could ever love what they saw. You have worn it like a second skin until you could no longer tell where the shame ended and you began. But hear me, the shame is not your name, and it was never the truth about you. The scriptures tell of people the world looked past, the small, the overlooked, the ones counted as nothing, who were known and treasured by God all along. You are not the exception to that mercy. You are exactly the kind of person it was written for. So you can set the shame down now. You were never meant to wear it forever. Now, I know you may not feel any of this yet. Feeling comes slowly when a heart has believed something painful for a very long time. And that is all right. The truth does not wait on your feelings to become true. You were fearfully and wonderfully made on the days you felt it, and on the 1,000 days you did not. These words were written down long before you were born, so that they could find you on a night exactly like this one. So let me say it again, plainly, the way you may have needed to hear it for most of your life. You are wanted. You are wonderfully made. You matter, and you always did. The world handed you a measuring stick and told you that you came up short. It compared you to others and convinced you that you were the lesser version, the one that did not quite belong. But heaven never measured you that way. You were not mass-produced. You were not stamped out of a machine, one of a faceless crowd. You were made by hand, with attention, with care, down to the smallest detail no one else has ever noticed. There has never been another you, and there never will be again. I want you to think back for just a moment on all the times you tried to disappear. The times you stayed quiet so you wouldn't be a bother. The times you made yourself smaller so you wouldn't be too much. The times you believed that fading into the background was the kindest thing you could offer the world. But you were never meant to vanish. You were never meant to be invisible. The one who made you did not labor over every detail of your being so that you could spend your life hiding it away. He did not number the very hairs of your head so that you would treat yourself as if you did not count. The scriptures say that even the sparrow does not fall without the Father's knowing, and that you are worth far more than many sparrows. You were never overlooked by heaven, even on the days you felt overlooked by everyone else. And here is something the shame has been hiding from you all this time. The very things you were taught to despise about yourself may be the very things you were made to carry. The tenderness you call weakness, that was given to you on purpose. The way you feel things deeply, that was not a flaw in the design. The scriptures say that what passes through the fire can be refined, and that what feels weak can become the very place strength is shown. The compassion you have for other hurting people, you did not invent that out of nothing. It was placed in you, and it was deepened by what you have lived through. The parts of you that you tried so hard to bury may be the parts the world has most needed all along. One day you may meet someone who feels exactly the way you feel tonight, convinced they do not matter. And the very thing you hated about yourself will become the reason they finally believe they do. Nothing about the way you were made is a mistake. And let me speak gently to the comparison that has been quietly stealing your peace. You have looked at other people and decided they were made better, made worthier, made more deserving of love than you, more gifted, more likable, more easily loved, as if there were a scale and you had landed on the wrong end of it. But heaven does not weigh you against anyone else. You were not made to be a copy. You are not a lesser draft of someone else's life. The scriptures are full of people the world dismissed. The youngest brother passed over, the stranger from the wrong place, the ones chosen last by men and loved first by God. Your worth was never measured against another soul. So stop holding your life up against lives you were never meant to live. You were made to be you, fully and exactly, and that was never a mistake. So tonight, I am asking you to lay down a few things you were never meant to carry. Lay down the shame that has been telling you to hide. Lay down the belief that you are a burden, a problem, a weight on everyone around you. Lay down the lie that you were an accident, that the world would somehow be better without you in it. You were not made to carry those things, and you do not have to carry them alone. And about that past you keep dragging behind you, the failures you replay, the version of yourself you cannot forgive, the choices that still make you wince in the dark. Hear this carefully, my child. You are not your worst day. You are not the sum of the things you got wrong. The scriptures promise that mercy is new every morning. New every single morning, which means there is fresh mercy already waiting for you tomorrow, before you have done a single thing to earn it. You were not made worthy by getting everything right. You were made wonderful before you ever did anything at all. And that has not changed, no matter what you have done since. So lay the past down too. Not because it never happened, but because it no longer has the right to tell you who you are. If these words have stirred something in you, you don't need to do anything dramatic. You don't owe anyone a comment to make this true. You don't have to prove your faith to a stranger online. But if you would like, take this quiet moment and turn it into a small prayer. It can be as simple as this. Lord, help me to believe that I was made on purpose and not by mistake. There are no perfect words. The scriptures show God meeting people in whispers, in tears, and in prayers too broken to finish. Your honesty is enough. And if someone comes to mind right now, someone who has forgotten that they matter, you are welcome to share this message with them. Not as a chain, not as a demand, just as a kindness, the way you would offer your coat to someone left out in the cold. Now, here is one gentle but important reminder, and I won't hurry past it. Faith is a deep comfort, but it is not a replacement for care. If you are struggling with your health or your mind or thoughts that frighten you or a weight that feels far too heavy to carry alone, please also reach out to a doctor, a counselor, or someone you trust. Hope and help were always meant to walk side by side. Asking for support is not a failure of faith. It is wisdom, and it is brave. And before we come to the end, let me ask one simple thing of you. Stay a little longer. I'm not telling you that you will wake up loving yourself in the morning. I'm not handing you a quick fix or a guarantee or a tidy ending wrapped in a bow. I'm telling you what faith has always whispered to the weary, that you were made on purpose, and the purpose is not finished with you yet. You have survived every single day that tried to convince you that you did not belong here. Think about that. You are still here, and that is not an accident any more than your first breath was. The same hands that formed you have not let go of you now. So as this message comes toward its close, I want to leave one truth in your hands to carry into tomorrow. You were not a mistake. Let those words from the 139th Psalm settle over you one last time. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Whatever the world has taken from you, whatever names you were called, the final word over your life is not worthless. The final word is wonderfully made, and made on purpose, by hands that do not make mistakes. I won't promise you a feeling. I won't promise you a timeline. I won't pretend to know the things only God knows. You have been handed enough empty promises, and I will not add to the pile. But I can leave you with what the scriptures say, with quiet confidence. You are His workmanship. You were created on purpose, fearfully and wonderfully made. And your soul can come to know that right well. So lift your head tonight, not because everything inside you suddenly feels worthy, but because your worth was never yours to earn in the first place. It was given. Take one more slow breath now, and let this be the truth you fall asleep on. You were made on purpose. You are wonderfully made, and you have always mattered. If messages of hope like this one bring you peace, you're always welcome to stay close to this little corner of the internet, where we simply sit with the scriptures together. And wherever tomorrow takes you, whatever you are walking through, may you walk through it knowing that the one who made you has never once regretted the the making. Peace be with you, my friend. Rest now.